Hello everybody and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be looking at the Sky Pirate Dwarfs and their crazy clown ships. Let's see what changes we have got for the Kharadron Overlords. Good afternoon or good morning to me, because I have started my new rota in work. Hey, so I may look a little bit tired. But yes, Kharadron Overlords, the new faction, getting today's faction focus. And yeah, the Sky Dwarfs, they're probably one of the most iconic looking Age of Sigmar factions that we have in the game. I've always been pretty fascinated by Kharadron Overlords. I like dwarfs in general. I'm a stunty fan. And their steampunk skyships kind of pirate vibe is kind of cool. I mean, if you've seen the film Stardust, you kind of get the idea of what these guys are if they weren't little dwarfs. But yeah, they're pretty cool in the grand scheme of things. I mean, I think this artwork sums it up. It's basically a dwarf in an airsuit with an aether quartz. Is it aether quartz? Aether gold? Sort of airship balloon on their back. Yeah, so they are a shooting army, obviously. They try to do a bit of close combat, but they are essentially close combat armies. But if you want something that's pretty much iconic to Age of Sigmar and very much out there and a very different take on what a fantasy dwarf is, you can't get any better than the Kharadron Overlords. So they are pretty cool, especially if you're a new player. So yeah, I mean, there's the army there. You've literally got giant airships and dwarfs in armor with big ass guns and balloons. So many balloons. Such a cool concept. Also, Ale Guzzler Giant there, Gargant there for the squigs, the Gloomspike gets, which is hopefully that's confirmation that they're going to be getting man crushers in their army, which is kind of nice. Right, so let's have a little look at the battle traits for the Kharadron Overlords. So they have a couple of battle traits, and as you can imagine, it centers around their sky vessels. And if you want to know what a sky vessel is, it's basically the big ships, the ironclad and the frigates. They really should get a really bigger ship, but they're pretty cool. So you get flying high. So you can pick a friendly sky vessel unit that is part of a regiment from which no units have been deployed. Then pick a number of units up to its transport capacity, see its war scroll, that are in that regiment. Effect, set up all of those units in the reserve in the clouds. They have now been deployed. So basically, you kind of if you've watched the other videos, you kind of get the same similar mechanic to what the Stormcast Eternals have got, as well as the Skaven as well, that you can essentially deploy your units off the board. And rather than them coming down on chains of lightning or coming out of holes in the ground, your ships are basically flying high in the sky, and you transport your models in your ships. Okay, I think an ironclad can have 25 models in it, and yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's a standard transport deployment mechanism for the army. So in your movement phase, you can descend from the clouds. So you pick a friendly sky vessel in the clouds to use this ability. So one that's being deployed off the table. Set up that sky vessel anywhere on the battlefield, more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Then set up all other units that were set up in the clouds with that sky vessel wholly within 6 inches of it and more than 9 inches from all enemy units. Now, I believe, and don't quote me to being correct, and if I am wrong on this, please correct me in the comments, that this is a new sort of take on this rule, because I believe that you used to be able to just deploy the ship onto the battlefield and not have to get the troops out, and this seems to be that you get out, that the guys in it get out automatically. Which is interesting, and I believe is a different take and a different change, but correct me in the comments below by you Kharadron Overlord players if that's correct. So, reaction. You declared a non-charge move ability for a Kharadron Overlord Sky Vessel. So, used by the Sky Vessel using that move ability, effect, pick a number of units up to the Sky Vessel's transport capacity, see its war scroll, that are wholly within 6 inches of it to be the targets. Units that have been transported this turn cannot be targets. Okay? So the ones that jumped out of it can't be targeted, but the ones that are still on the battlefield can. Right, okay? Remove the targets from the battlefield after the Sky Vessel ends its move, and must set up each target unit on the battlefield wholly within 6 inches of that Sky Vessel and not in combat. Those units have been transported. A unit cannot use charge abilities if it was transported in the same turn. Right, so what I'm thinking this is basically you move your Sky Vessel and any units that pick up a number of Sky Vessel transport capacity wholly within 6 inches of the target. Units that have been transported this turn cannot be targeted. And you essentially pick up models that you've flown past, and they get put into the Sky Vessel. It's a bit of a weird one. I'm not overly too sure, and you can't charge. Yeah, not overly too sure on that. So passive, a Sky Vessel cover, so you subtract 1 from hit rolls for shooting attacks that target friendly Kharadron Overlord infantry units while they're wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Arkanaut Ironclad or frigate. Now, that's pretty cool. So you guys that are going to jump out your Sky Vessels when they land, you're going to be -1 to hit them from shooting attacks. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's kind of gives you like a little combined arms thing going on between the two things. So yeah, pretty cool. And then we get to one of the formations. So we've got the Endenriggers Guild Expeditionary Force, which is kind of cool. So we've got special procurements. So pick a friendly non-unique Kharadron Overlords hero that does not have an artifact power. Give that hero 1 artifact power from the inventions of the Skyports. So in 3rd edition, the Kharadron Overlords basically had some pretty cool artifacts, and one of them was basically an Ender Spell in a jar. And as obviously, because they're dwarfs, they don't use magic, and you could never really use endless spells. What this does is it allowed them to basically bring an endless spell and basically use. And now you kind of get some really unique artifacts to this army, which is pretty cool. So, and we get an example of that. Artifacts of Power, Inventions of the Skyports hero only. So we have once per battle in any shooting or combat phase. Blaze Beard and Sun's Drak Hobbler Magbalos. Wow. So pick an enemy monster within 12 inches of this unit to be the target. Nice. Until the start of your next turn, subtract 1 from the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls for the target to a minimum 1. So basically making a monster -1 to charge is so good. -1 dice. So that's basically limited them to a d6 charge. That's really good. That's solid. Once per battle in your shooting phase, Celestium Burst Grenades, like it already. Pick an enemy unit within 12 inches of the unit to be the target. Ward rolls cannot be made for the target for the rest of the turn. Oh, that is so good. Literally lob a grenade at a unit and turn off the ward save. So, as an example, you could be coming up against a model like Yndrasta, who has like a 5-up ward save, or someone like Nagash that has a ward save. You can literally throw this at him and turn off his ward save and then pound the living hell out of him and make him roll on his armor save, and then he doesn't have that ward save to mitigate that damage. That's really, really good. It is only once per battle though, and it is in a shooting phase, but if you do set it up right with your Thunderers, you could do a lot of work with that. That's pretty cool. And then you got another one, and it's once per battle reaction. Opponent declares a spell ability for a wizard within 30 inches of this unit. Amazingly, you use this ability to basically turn yourself into a wizard, and you get to unbind that spell. For me, out of the 3, I really like the grenade, the ability to turn off a ward save on a really big item model, and then you can literally alpha strike it and just literally nuke it. It's so good. I really like that. Okay, so we get one of the first war scrolls that we're going to be looking at, and this is the big boy, Brock Gundridsson. for the Kharadron Overlords. He's pretty cool because he has little guns in his mustache on his face. How cool is that? Guns in your mustache. It's like beard guns. I fully approve of this. So he has a 3-up save, he has a move of 12, he has 8 health, and he controls 2. Solid. He has all of the guns. So he has the boost, which is 18-inch range, 1 attack, hits on a 3, wounds on a 2, 2 rend, D3 damage. Now, there's a good chance that with that 1 dice, you're probably going to miss 90% of the time. But if you do manage to hit and you do manage to roll, it's going to do some damage. So, then you've got the Magna Carta Charter for 12 inches, 6 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage, and you can shoot in combat with that. Really nice, good to see it. And then he has his Saw in close combat, which is 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2, 2 damage. So he's pretty, he's pretty solid in combat. 3s and 3s in combat is good. 5 attacks is pretty nice, and rend 2 is really good. And damage 2 per attack is potentially. So if you hit and wound with everything and can really put the hurt on it, that's a potential of 10 damage just coming in from the close combat. And that's not including like the 6 shots he's going to pile into you in the shooting phase as well. So, quite like that. Now, in any combat phase, he has pick up to 2 other friendly Skyfarer units within this unit's combat range to be the target. Add 1 to the attack characteristics of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. +1 attack within 12. And I imagine this is probably going to work quite nicely into the engine riggers and the other guys with the balloons. I believe they've got the Skyfarer keyword. Although the Arcanaut Company may also have Skyfarer. But we'll have a look when they show us some more of the War Scrolls later in this article. He has a once per battle in your movement phase, so you can pick up to 3 visible friendly sky vessels wholly within 24 inches of this unit that are not in combat to be the target. Each target can use a run ability and still shoot and or charge abilities later this turn. Nice. Now, obviously, as you can imagine, the ships have a lot of guns, and we will be looking at one of the ships very shortly. So the ability to be able to run and shoot and or charge is really strong. And yeah, 24 inches is a big ball. And then you've got an end of any turn. Pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target, and then you roll a D3, and on a 2+, inflict the amount of mortal wound damage on the target equal to the roll. Basically, you shoot them at the end of the turn with your mustache cannons. So cool. So he's a War Master, of course. He's unique, he's a hero, he's infantry, and he's fly. And he's an Order Kharadron Overlords. He's a Duradin, and he has a Skyfarer keyword. He doesn't have a ward save. But he does have a solid 3-up save and 8 wounds. So, yeah, he's pretty good. So, now we get to the first of the... one of the main sort of units of the army. So basically, your army is either going to have an ironclad or you're going to have frigates. The frigates are slightly smaller than the ironclad. The ironclad is the big ship. So this has got a 3-up save. Completely love it. Moves 12, 15 health, 5 control. So, as you can imagine, it has all the guns. So this unit is armed with an Aether Shot carbines, boarding weapons, and one of the following. So you can have a heavy skyhook or a heavy sky cannon. So, you've got your Aether Shot carbines, which is 12 inches, 4 shots, 3s, -1 rend, 2 damage, and can shoot in combat. That's important. Then you're either going to have the Sky Cannon, which is 24 inches, 2 shots, 4s followed by 2s, 2 rend, D3 +1. Or you're going to have your Heavy Skyhook, which is 24 inches, 2 shots, 4s followed by 3s, 2 rend, D6 damage, anti-monster -1 rend. Now, personally, I would probably lean in for a Skyhook because, yes, I know you're wounding on the 3s, but you've got that D6 damage. D3 +1 is a little bit... D3 +2 would probably be a little bit better because you're guaranteeing at least a minimum of 3 damage per shot and with a potential of 5 damage if you spike it. D6 damage, obviously, yes, that's very swingy. You're either going to get 1 or you're going to get 6. Most of the time you probably get like 3 or 4. But the anti-monster, so an extra Ren, so you're going to be at Ren 3 against monsters, is pretty good. Now, you do have a melee weapon, and you have boarding weapons, so you've got 8 attacks, 4s and 4s, no Ren, 1 damage. That's kind of cool. So you've got a couple of number of rules here. So you've got in your charge phase, Assault Boat. So this unit cannot use this ability if it is in combat or has used a run or retreat ability this turn. Pick a number of units up to its transport capacity that are wholly within 6 inches of it and that have not charged this turn to be the targets. Then make a charge roll for 2d6. Remove the targets from the battlefield. Then this unit can move a distance up to the value of the charge roll and must end the move within half an inch of a visible enemy unit. Then set up the targets wholly within this unit's combat range. The targets can be set up in combat and have the strike first for the rest of the turn. This unit and the target have charged. So essentially what this means is if you haven't run or retreated, you pick a skyboat and then you pick up a number of units around that are wholly within 6 inches of it and up to your transport capacity. So transport capacity for this unit is this unit can transport up to 2 friendly Kharadron Overlord infantry units with a combined model count of up to 12. Okay? So you can get a couple of units in there and you can basically hoof them up and then they get jump straight into combat. Now, this is kind of like one of the 3rd edition sort of rules that the I think sub-factions that had the frigates being able to charge, and then the guys jumped out of the ships, and you basically jumped straight into combat, and then you got to fight. This is kind of the similar thing, but the new thing for 4th edition is your guys are kind of going to be hanging around outside of the boats, wholly within 6. And then you're going to be able to sort of like do things alongside the boat. So yeah, okay, I like that, and I like the fact that you can probably pick up like a unit of 10 Art Company or a couple of 2 units of 5 engine riggers, or the other guys, the guys with the more close combat weapons, and basically hurl them into combat alongside your Skyships. Pretty cool. So obviously you have a battle damage, so the effects that while this has 10 or more damage points, your Aether Shock Carbines is reduced to 2. So you go from 4 attacks to 2 attacks. It's pretty much standard for now for the damage tables. So your movement phase, you've got medium bomb racks, so pick an enemy unit that does not have the fly keyword, and that has this unit passed across this phase to be the target. Roll 6 dice and every 4+ inflict a mortal wound damage. So you can basically fly over units that aren't flyers and bomb them. Pretty cool. So it's a war machine. Surprise, surprise. It has fly, and then obviously it has all of the Kharadron Overlord keywords. It has Sky Vessel rather than Skyfarers. So the Sky Wardens, and this is the ones I'm on about. There's the engine riggers, and then there's these guys. So they've got a 4-up save. Cool. They've got a 12 move. They've got a health of 2 and a control of 1. So each model in this unit is armed with a vulcanizer pistol and a sky pike. Okay. So your vulcanized pistol is 10 inches. It hit 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 Ren, 1 damage. Can shoot in combat. That's really good. And then you have a sky pike in close combat, which is 2 attacks, 3s and 3s, -1 Ren, 2 damage. And any natural 6s to hit will do mortal damage. Nice. That's really cool. So, one of 3 models can replace their weapons with an aethermatic volley gun and gun butt. So, an aethermatic volley gun is 15-inch range, 2d6 shots, hits on 4s, wounds on 4s, no rend, 1 damage, and it has crits on 2s. So, 6s to hit, give you 2 hits. Or one model can replace their weapons with a Sky Warden heavy weapon, grapple launcher, sky hook, or drill launcher, and a gun butt. So they've kind of combined all of those weapons now into the Sky Warden heavy weapon, which is a 15-inch range, 1 attack, hits on 4s, wounds on 3s, 1 rend, d3 damage, anti-monster, +1 rend. Cool. And then your gun butts is 4 to hit, 5 to wounds, and 1 damage. And then you have the last option is the champion cannot replace their weapons. Cool, right. Champion is now like their own keyword, and they'll basically gain an extra attack. So he's always going to have the Vulcanizer Pistol and the Sky Pike. All right, which is fine. At the end of the turn, times changes. So pick an enemy unit in combat where with this unit to be the target. Roll a d3 and on a 2+, inflict the amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll. This unit can immediately use the retreat ability as if it were your movement phase without any mortal damage being inflicted. So good. Now, we've already seen this ability in play in the battle report that was between the Lumineth Realm Lords and the Skaven for the Kangaroos for the Lumineth, the Kangaroo Cavalry for the Lumineth Realm Lords, that they were able to move 14 inches, fire with their bows, and then literally, once they finish, run away 12 inches as well. So you can literally do the same thing. So you can like get into combat. So you can do your essentially thing with the frigate, have 2 units of these guys, or possibly up to 3 units, because these are like units of 3 or more. Have like 3 units of 3 wholly within 6 of your frigate. Your frigate flies forward, jumps these guys in. They get into combat. They do their thing. You roll for your mortal wound damage, and then you massively retreat 12 inches away out of combat straight away. That is pretty cool. I like that. So they're infantry, they've got a champion, and they can fly. And obviously they're Skyfarers. So yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do there. Yeah, really quite interesting to see what the engine riggers are like. I think the engine riggers are the ones with like the weird chainsaws. And then we probably get one of the classic units for the Kharadron Overlords, and that is the Gunstruck Thunderers. Pretty much 3rd edition armies were built around these guys. They're basically your shooting units for your Kharadron. I mean, if you're going to be collecting a Kharadron Overlords army, this is the unit that you're going to be taking a lot of. Let's see if they're as good as they have been, or if they've been nerfed or whatever. So they've got a 3-up save, solid. They move 4 inches. It's a dwarf. And they've got a health of 2. Nice. And a control of 1. So each model in this unit is armed with an Aether Shot rifle and a heavy gun butt. So your Aether Shot rifles are 18 inches. That's a good range. 2 attacks, hits on 3s, wounds on 4s, -1 rend, 1 damage. That's not bad. Now, I'm literally reading this, and as a Cities of Sigmar player, I'm filled with hope and dreams and unicorns and fairies that my Fusiliers are going to survive and retain their 2 shots. Maybe not. Okay, so you can get 2 out of 5 of your models can replace their Aether Shot rifles with an Arthuric Fumigator or a Deck Sweeper. Okay, so this is the next one round. It's got a 10-inch range, 5 shots, hits on 3s, wounds on 4s, 1 rend, 1 damage, and it's got anti-infantry, +1 rend, and can shoot in combat. Now, you're probably going to take at least one of these in the unit. Guaranteed you're going to take one, purely because it has the shoot and combat ability. So once you do get these guys into combat, which you probably don't really want to do, but if you do get caught in combat, you're at least going to be able to do some damage to that unit in the shooting phase before doing your really crappy heavy gun butts, which is only 1 attack each, hitting on 4s, wounding on 5s, 0 rend, 1 damage. So the other options you get is 2 out of 5 models can replace their Aether Shot rifles with a Gunstruck mortar or an Aether cannon. So these are your big heavy weapons. This is what this guy down in the bottom is basically using. So this is an 18-inch range gun. Again, you're probably going to get at least 2 of these in the unit. They hit on 4s, they wound on 3s. It's 1 damage and it's D3 damage per pop for damage. That's pretty good. And then the champion cannot replace their Aether Shot cannons. So for me, if I was running these, I would have 1 Deck Sweeper for shooting in combat. I'd have 2 mortars or Aether cannons, and then you were going to have at least 2 Aether Shot rifles. So you've got a decent amount of shooting, and the Deck Sweeper, unfortunately, has only got a 10-inch range. So you have, in your shooting phase, you've got hold the position. So if this unit has not used a move ability this turn, and was not set up this turn, this unit's ranged weapons have a shooting combat for the rest of the turn. So, that is so good. Yeah, so basically, if you've not moved and you've not been set up and you're in combat, so someone does manage to charge you, all of your guns are going to be shooting in combat. That is so good. That is just so good. And the amount of hurt you're going to be able to put in onto them is pretty decent. So I think they're pretty decent. I quite like them. The 18-inch range is kind of good. Yeah, the amount of shots that you're going to be able to pump out, it's not amazing, but you're probably going to be running them in units of 10 anyway. So infantry, champion, standard bearer, and obviously Kharadron, Overlords, Duradon, and Skyfarers. So I quite like them. Again, if you're a Kharadron Overlords player, let me know in the comments what you think of these changes, and if you think you've been nerfed or you've got buffs or anything. So the studio, so we can kind of see what the spearhead box is going to be. So you're going to get an admiral, you're going to get a frigate, and you're going to get what the engine riggers the engine ringers / whatever those guys are, Skyfarers. I think we already looked at War Scroll. What were they called? Sky Wardens. And you're going to get 3 of them, and then you're going to get at least 10 Arc Company, which is like your bog standard infantry unit. So obviously, Spearhead, again, we've got lots of rules. So it's kind of like a dumbed down version of the main like battle traits. And then we kind of get a look at a little bit of the Arc Company. So they've got a 4-up save, they move 4, they've got 1 health and 1 control. And then they have a number of options. So they've got like privateer pistols, they've got the arc cutters, gun butts, and a sky pike. So you kind of get to see what they got. And then they have a passive ability where they get to hit add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this unit that target a unit contested an objective. Pardon me. So obviously a lot of that's probably going to change for the proper version of Age of Sigmar, but we'll have a little look. But yeah, so tomorrow we're going to be looking at the Disciples of Tzeentch. Very interesting faction. It's going to be see what they're going to do with their battle traits and their fate dice and all of that crazy shenanigans. And basically, let me just be blunt, they're bullshit. And we're going to be able to see what they're doing. I'm hoping that they show the horrors, the pink horrors, and I wonder if we're actually going to get an edition where they've actually worked out how pink horrors work, and they're not going to need to multiply FAQ this war scroll multiple times over an edition and constantly change it because they're absolutely just batshit crazy bonkers. So it's going to be quite interesting to see the Disciples of Tzeentch tomorrow. But yeah, that's it. That is the video. That is Kharadron Overlords. Like I said, let me know in the comments below if you like these changes. If you're a Kharadron Overlords player, let me know what you think of it. I think they look kind of cool. Do I think they're massively overpowered? No. Also, big thing is, let me know what you think of the changes of being outside your ships rather than inside your ships. You know, your army's actually going to be on the board this time. Let me know what you think, and yeah, we'll keep doing the faction focuses. And I will see you tomorrow for Tzeentch and the crazy shenanigans that is no doubt going to ensue for that army. But if you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, share, check out my members area and my Patreon, and yeah, just keep doing what you're doing, you absolute legends, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.